you're ready to wake up, you're going to wake up. And if you're not ready, you're going to stay pretending that you're just a little, poor little me.
Do you feel it?
Yes, we do.
A worldwide awakening is upon us. Welcome to the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Where we explore topics such as UFOs, aliens, banned medical cures, as well as classified secret knowledge. Come question your holographic existence. Share experiences from the other side. This is a show that will expand your mind as we decrypt the symbolic messages locked away deep within your DNA. And now, your guides for this magical journey. The hosts of the Universal Consciousness Show, Augie Nost and Diana Seraphim.
Yes, you are listening to the radio show for the global citizen. And hello everybody. My name is Augie and I am here by myself today without my co-host and of course the guest. Diana, my co-host over in Germany, she is not able to be with us tonight, but she will be back next week. So just hang with us. Now, before I introduce the guest, I want to tell you how you can connect with us. You can visit us on our website. That's at www.universal-consciousness-show.com. Or we are on YouTube with the same name, Universal Consciousness Show. And please subscribe while you're there because that'll help us a lot. And also, you know how that works. When you click that red subscribe button, there's this little black bell that comes up next to it. Click on that too, because then you will get notifications when the next shows comes out. And that's a good thing because then you won't miss anything. For those of you that like to hear the show again, of course, go to the universal-consciousness-show.com or here on YouTube with the same name. And of course, we are in the archives of KCOR Radio at kcorradio.com. And of course, if you're listening to this, you already know that because you're on their website, probably. And the Universal Consciousness Show also. And we're on Twitter and iTunes, TuneIn, Alexa, Facebook, and a few other places that we put it out there. So we're just about everywhere. And there is this wonderful little feature on the KCOR radio website. It's down at the bottom. It's a donate button. So if you like what you hear, we would love it if you also would show your gratitude in that way. And if you can't, that is perfectly all right. We love you. We're glad you're here listening. So here we go. And now I will introduce the guest to you. And we are going to talk to Monique Lessin. I think that is probably the name, how she pronounces her last name. And of course, that name is an import to the United States, probably. Lessin, Monique Lessin. And maybe we should call her the female 007. She's a multilingual licensed private investigator with over 10 years of experience and speak Farsi, English, French, and Spanish. And she has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's in forensic science. She has worked as an international in the international arena on the recovery of missing and abducted children and people. She has helped locating missing persons. She has been looking into sex trafficking cases and international undercover sting operations. She has been featured on many TV shows like Strange Universe, Fox 6 TV in San Diego, Cheaters, Discovery Channel, and several others. She has been very involved in recovery of human trafficking victims. She has started several organizations and groups to educate young people on the dangers of abduction, sex trafficking, and has recovered children from Singapore, Mexico, England, Nicaragua, Saipan, and several other countries. And this is a much bigger problem than most of them Anybody out there just about can imagine. Even at home in your, it doesn't matter where you are, in your home country, these kinds of things goes on. So let's hear a little more about this, because this could get interesting, and it is a subject that we don't think about a lot, but it affects us in some ways, because we probably know somebody that had a child or somebody that disappeared. Let's get an idea of what's going on. Welcome to the show here, Monique.
Hi, Augie. It's really nice to be with you again.
Yeah, we have done this a couple of 3-4 times before on your show.
Yes, for many years actually now. But
Yeah.
it's really, I'm very grateful that you have invited me to your show because I just had a release of my book, came out actually 3-4 days ago.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's why I called you, because this is a subject that people have heard the concept that children get abducted and sold and bargained or whatever into the sex trade and things like, but we don't know anybody personal that it had happened to, so it's not personal to us, but it is a much bigger problem than we would think, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, one of the reasons why I wrote actually this book, Children of the Underworld, for many years, people wanted me to write a book about my life. And I thought, well, to combine the two is probably the best thing I could do. So this book is actually based on true events. One of my cases that started in Singapore ended up actually it was a parental child abduction that ended up in a sex trafficking ring. And that's what we started building this story around, a child that was gone abducted. But a lot of people don't understand that when a child goes missing, whether it's a runaway child, which happens so much. In fact, 800,000 people, according to Department of Justice, go missing from North America alone. 300,000 of those are children. You can just imagine how many are unreported. And this is just North America.
Wow.
Imagine around the world. This is unbelievable. So
where do they go? 300,000 just from the U.S.?
That's right. So Department of Justice actually includes all those that come back within 72 hours. They still report it. So that number is much less when you think that, okay, so a lot of those children get found within 72 hours or a month, but initially it is that number. However, a lot of children or runaways within 72 hours get approached by a sex trafficker. And my job is not just sex trafficking victims, but all children that go missing. And that goes for runaways, parental child abduction, abducted by pedophiles, abducted by, the ones that I don't really get into are ransom. Those are much more complicated, and I think police are best fitted for getting them back. So it's a big business, and it's a big trouble.
But even here in the United States, once in a while you can hear on the news, so you can see that someone got recovered and they had been basically locked up in a basement or something like that, and they've been gone for years.
That's right. Yep. Situations like this, actually, it doesn't just happen in the United States, but other places. But interestingly enough, they usually happen in the United States. And you have to wonder, how is it that it is either not reported, or what's going on with our criminal justice system that doesn't catch those things? I mean, you have to watch your neighbors. You have to, if you see something, say something. But many people see something and they don't say something.
Yeah.
if someone or a child or even a teenager is across the street, if you see them dressed really differently than anyone else, and they are, they don't go to school, they're always home, their hair is not cleaned or washed, you have to say something because that's very unusual.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, those things happen.
yeah, and what about you then? What was it a special occasion or an incident or something that brought you onto this path to show such compassion for these people?
Yes. I was living in Southern California for many years before I moved to Northern California. And when I was about 19 years old, I was kidnapped. And this actually is part of the book, just a little tiny chapter. And when I was kidnapped by a very rich, actually multimillionaire Iranian, I think he was an artist in Beverly Hills, and he took me for several days, and assaulted me and took me to a hotel. And by the way, the people in the hotel, but it was actually Beverly Hills Hotel. Beverly Hotel is called, in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And the people at the hotel allowed that to happen. It looked like he knew what was going on, the manager, and they were in cahoots with each other. And this guy had a huge art gallery in Beverly Hills on Robertson. Anyways, so I was assaulted. I did not get taken into sex trafficking because I escaped. So that really brought me to the point that, never ever would I, if I could help myself. I mean, at first I wanted to kill him, obviously. I wanted to revenge. But I was so young and innocent, in a way I didn't even report it to police because I didn't know what my rights were. And then that also put me on my path to become a private investigator and specialize in missing children. Not just trafficking, but children going missing. And what it could feel to not be home with your family, to be so insecure and scared. And I didn't want that to happen to any other child. So.
Yeah, that traumatic experience that could really bring you onto some path like this. I can see that. And you are not really alone out there doing these kinds of things, or are you pretty much on your own with this, or
Oh no.
Other people you're working with?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a licensed investigator over 20 years, actually, at this point. And I work with international associations of investigators all over the world because my work, even though a lot of it comes from the United States and a lot of cases are from here, in fact, your own backyard. You won't even imagine how many are going on right here in Sonoma County, where I am. But I work with other organizations, and in fact, I started Teens Against Human Trafficking and brought awareness to children at Hillsborough High School so they can learn what human trafficking is through film and documentaries. And together, they took it in front of 300 other students. What happens is that kids don't listen to adults. So if you teach one kid, that kid will teach other kids.
Yeah.
So that was my goal, and that's what happened. And I speak in a lot of different conferences and seminars, and at the same time, work with organizations like even Homeland Security is a huge aspect of my cases to bring information to me. They can tell me when a kid was taken, when they were brought back. They tell us about the passports, So I do work with a lot of law enforcement agencies as well.
Yeah.
Such as the
FBI. So your book then is more like a kind of an educational book for younger people also, where they can, a lot of them, or most of them probably don't understand the problem, but now they can get educated to the point where they know what to look for. Is that maybe what you have in there also?
Well, okay. Let me kind of explain what my book came about. It reveals the truth about child abduction. it's a novel based inspired by true events. So in order to bring a lot of awareness, and I'm kind of a whistleblower on many aspects of what's going on really behind the child abduction world, I made it into a true crime novel, and there's a lot of truth to everything that I'm explaining. It's not one of those books that just talks about sex trafficking in every page. It's about the children that went missing from Barcelona, because that's the reason I actually moved to Barcelona back in 2001, because I had a child abduction case. So we started on September 11, 2001, and the story goes about a child that was hired to find, again, based on a true story. And then the child ended up missing in Singapore. Wow. And so now I'm talking a lot about many different children, and a lot of my cases that happen in sex trafficking, and I made it into a novel. It's very fast-paced. It's very much kind of like if you've read Da Vinci Code.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's based on so it's very fast-paced. It has a lot of dialogues, and it's based on true stories, but you make it into a novel so you don't have to collect signatures or get sued just in case somebody doesn't like what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, that's wise, because I remember there years and years ago there was a book out there called "Nothing in This Book is True, but It Is Just the Way It Is." And maybe he had to write it in a novel form so you can expose the truth. You're probably doing the same here.
That is exactly. Yeah. Because what's going on behind sex trafficking, and this is okay. Aggie, let me just tell you this. Augie, I remember. Yeah. Augie. People think, human trafficking is a criminal organization. I mean, this is something so much bigger than just sex trafficking. Domestic servitude, child brides, child soldiers, agricultural, when the kids are taken from other countries and they're working for someone who's very rich, getting paid $2 a day. Those are all part of human trafficking. But the subject that I focus on is sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. And the reason I focus on sex trafficking, because people think that it is only about kids being taken out of their countries, whether it's United States, which is, by the way, a source country and a receiving country. Yeah. But they take into another country, their passport gets taken away, and you start paying your debt back to the trafficker. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because what happens behind the scene, children get killed. Not only they get raped, and they have to service 20 plus people per day. The age of those children are as young as 4 years old. And it happens to a lot of countries that are very poor, such as Vietnam and Ukraine and Moldova and Thailand and Turkey and a lot of different places. But those kids usually don't survive, and if they do survive, they commit suicide. And if they do survive at some point, they get, there's a shame that goes along with that.
Yeah. Lifelong scars come with it.
That's right.
Yeah. And, when you hear these stories of children down to 4, 5, 6 years old, it is, you lose words. It's hard to explain what you feel when you hear that, because it is so outrageous.
Absolutely. There was a girl who was actually special needs here in Sonoma County, and she was taken by people. So she went to college. Actually, she was not even that young. She was about 20 years old. But because she was special need, there are people that befriend you in schools, and they even come to your houses, and they befriend your family and your parents. And once, they gain the trust of the family, sometimes they say, hey, come to a party and we're just going to, have an open punch. And then there's drugs in it, and they get raped, and they get hooked on heroin. True story. This was one of my cases. And this particular girl that I'm talking about, special need, she actually had Stockholm syndrome with the people who took her. And she was saying always, oh, they bought me a pink car. They gave me a pink car. I want to go back to them. So she had this urge to go back to the people who took her and raped her.
Oh, yeah.
And the sheriff department didn't do anything. No one did anything. The mother was after her, and she found her. And she was a friend of mine, and together she helped me do the Teens Against Human Trafficking.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Man, there is a lot of they understand the psychology of children probably, so they play on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There was another case, actually. The child was 14 years old, and again, there was this broker, we call them brokers in between, befriended her. They were friends for like 6 months. And then one day she said, oh, let's go clean my friend's house. We are in the business of cleaning homes. So come with me, you can help me. Well, she never came home until 2 or 3 years later. She was about a mile away from where she was taken, her house. And
boy,
she
that's
was
local, huh?
Local. So that's what I'm saying. When you see something, say something. And of course, the question here is about David Paulides. I see in the chat. I actually asked David Paulides to be on my show, which he actually refused because he thought, well, his cases have nothing to do with child trafficking. I disagree. In fact, because of David Paulides Missing 411, I started on Kickstarter my own investigation of missing people, missing from like Yosemite and other national parks around United States and around the world. I didn't get much money, so I couldn't really go forward with it. But
and I see we got 1 minute left of the show here before the break, and we got a couple of questions in the chat room here. So let's deal with a couple of interesting questions here when we get back. And this is something that, even if it is not personal to us, we should give some thought to it, because someone that we are personal with may have a problem and we could be able to help. So let's go to break, and then we will be right back.
You're listening to the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Your weekly connection to the truth.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Share your knowledge by calling our hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Call now.
Worldwide callers find us on Skype at KCOR Radio. It's time to abandon your fear and question what you think you know.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
More awakening awaits.
After this, after this, after this, after this, after this, after this.
Radio signal.
Looking for cutting-edge conversations while exploring quantum possibilities? Then look no further.
We've got to fix it.
Broadcast Team Alpha, hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. They're connecting the dots and unraveling the cosmic mysteries with interviews from top experts, embedded insiders, and whistleblowers from around the world on an array of topics, from health, wellness, consciousness, and ufology, all in pursuit of
The truth.
Broadcast Team Alpha, hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. Live Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The balance of power is shifting in the world today, and the old paradigm is being replaced with a new one filled with love, positivity, and prosperity for all. The only question you have to ask yourself Are you ready for a change?
Broadcast Team Alpha.
Come explore the quantum possibilities.
Monday nights are about to become hauntingly good, as Reverend Sean Whittington possesses the airwaves with Vegas Supernatural. Tune in every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for Vegas Supernatural, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. There's a war raging between good and evil. The question is, which side are you fighting on? Tune in Monday nights as Reverend Sean Whittington sets the new standard for paranormal radio with some of the most influential personalities in the world today. Vegas Supernatural, hosted by Reverend Sean Whittington, every Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The one show even the devil doesn't want you to hear.
Your journey from the land of the living to the afterlife starts here. The Weird Tales Radio Show, Thursdays 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Your weekly fix for ghost stories, urban myths, witchcraft, and folklore. Hosted by the sometimes werewolf hunter, Charles Christian, and his co-host, Janie Christian. The Weird Tales Radio Show is an off-the-wall, fabulously atmospheric, and radio magazine formatted show, rated as one of the UK's most listened to podcasts. If you're a fan of the weird and unusual, then tune in if you dare. Thursdays 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. The Weird Tales Radio Show. The one show that takes your fears of the unknown and spins them into reality. The Weird Tales Radio Show on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, where the weird and the strange come out to play.
Are you ready to go?
It's showtime!
Here we go, world.
You're listening to the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Broadcasting from the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Their base is so large it has to draw most of its power from the nearby nuclear fusion plant.
The future of radio is here and now.
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
It's time, once again, to unravel the mysteries of the universe by connecting the dots to a higher consciousness. This is the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Now the world will begin hearing us.
Share your knowledge by calling 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
It's as simple as that.
Find us on Twitter at KCOR Radio or use hashtag KCOR. Even better, join us on the live chat at KCORradio.com. Back to your enlightened hosts, Agi Nost and Diana Serafini.
Hello. We are back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and we are talking with Monique Lessin. And we are talking about some issues that is not necessarily all pleasant, but very important. And that goes into missing children. And we before the break, we had some questions come into the chat room. Brent asked on Skype, and Monique answered that one about David Paulides. And also,
I do want to kind of go back to, by the way, thank you. Hello, everyone. I just kind of jumped in there. But I do want to, I want to talk about David Paulides just a tiny bit more. And his research on the missing 411. And I think that he's done a fabulous job. One of the things that he has connected, which kind of makes me wonder, is the supernatural aspect of the David Paulides research, where children as young as 4 years old, all of a sudden they found themselves on top of a hill miles away from where the family was first hiking, on top of the hills, which is very unusual for a child to end up there. So really has very little with sex trafficking, has a lot to do with why people usually go missing. And that's one of the reasons, but it's not proven. It's not proven as to why all of a sudden those clothes are left underneath a tree. That if you've read Missing 411, and I've talked to David many times, so
Yeah.
It's a different kind of book.
Yeah, and it's there's some strange things there. I even read an article written by someone that their child, that it was, I think, 15 years or so ago, that disappeared in the woods, and the child came back, and she says, "Oh, I've been out there for several weeks, and there was this big hairy man, this hairy family that took care of me and fed me."
Mm-hmm.
And we wonder, big, hairy, and they explained they had hair all over. Could that have been a Sasquatch?
Yeah, well, a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that's a different story, but we don't know where Bigfoot or Sasquatch come from.
Yeah,
but there have been a lot of UFO sightings in the same locations where Bigfoot have been seen, according to some of the witnesses or people who actually investigate Bigfoot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows?
Who knows? And we also have a question from Sharon on Twitter. And having seen what you have seen, she says, how do we tell a parent who has had their child taken that it will be all right? And what kind of lifelong scars will these kids have moving forward?
Well, this is one of the hardest things about telling parents about the children that have gone missing. I had to do this, and I still do a lot of this. You become their best friend. You are constantly in communication with them. They really want you to basically work for free at some point, because if not the whole thing. I have worked with, for example, I don't know if people have heard of Serenity, a case in South Dakota, how she just walked into the woods, middle of winter of last February, and the case is still open, and I have my own information that I wanted to share with the family, but okay, that's a different story. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
However, it's a huge, huge thing. Let me just say, adoption families, adoption companies, foster families are all part, and can be, not always, can be part of the problems of kids going missing. Very quickly, when a child is taken from the comfort of the home and CPS remove them into foster care, all of a sudden that child is now lost in the system. At some point, possibly they get adopted. But adoption companies actually make over $70,000 per child.
Yeah,
foster cares it's big business, and foster care about $12,000 per child. And before you know it, this becomes a huge money-making organization, and attorneys are involved, and there's so many people involved to make money off children, cash for kids. And it's not just in California, it's not just where, I don't know where you are, Augie, but it's all over the United States.
Yeah. Who is, when there's such big business about it, who is actually the end one that pays the bill?
Traffickers.
Oh, yeah.
Traffickers, because even when attorneys are involved, adoption companies are involved, bottom line is human, not sex, human traffickers. I did a case and I don't want to go back actually to that woman who asked a question about the family. I do want to answer your question, but I just want to share this very touchy story that came to me back about 3 years ago from Sao Paulo, Brazil. A 2-year-old beautiful child with green eyes, kind of a darker skin. Completely wanted by any family. Parents were home. Grandfather was asked to watch over the child as he was playing in the backyard. The child disappeared. No one could possibly tell what in the world could happen. Everybody thought it was people across the street, or maybe there was a creek, maybe the child fell in the creek and is gone, is dead. Bottom line, 6 months later, and working with another investigator from Brazil, as I do work international cases often, the grandfather sold his own grandson to an adoption company in Venezuela, and a couple came from Israel and bought the child.
Wow.
Yes.
Boy, that's kind of like family doing that to themselves. Wow.
Oh my goodness. Actually, most of the sex trafficking cases are done by family members. People in India and other places that are very poor. Families have over 10 children. A person comes and say, "Hey, I'll buy one of your child, I'll buy one of your children for that much money." They will sell that child because they have 9 more. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Oh, look, parents will sell their children. And also the other thing that is involved behind the scene is satanic cults.
Yeah.
Satanic cults are happening more than you can imagine. There are mind control, there's MK Ultra, there's so much going on. And in this book, Children of the Underworld, I'm exposing all of that. And the children that go missing and kept in underground bases around the world. You'd be surprised how much the government actually used children as experiments for mind control, just like it was in Montauk. But okay, so it is very, very difficult to talk to the parents, and usually the parents end up to be my friends. I become part of the families. They start having me become the godmother of the children because I spend hell of a lot of time with them until we find a child.
Yeah. And how can we be in support of children that have missing children like that? The best way.
First of all, one of the things that I do, and once I move to Spain, which is going to be soon, is in work organizations that I work with here, right here in Sonoma County. They are working with a lot of hotels. So you go to a hotel and you see a child is there against their will. They're yelling, they're screaming, "I don't know this person, please help me." Or if they're underdressed and or overly made up with makeup, okay? You say something, you report that, not just to the hotel, but to the police. And a lot of times the police doesn't get on it right away. That's why people hire private investigators.
Yeah.
But right now there's an education system going on with the hotels, with the taxis, with the Ubers, with the Lyft, with a lot of different organizations that are out there, even restaurants, hospitals, emergency rooms. Now we are making them aware that there's a problem. When you see something that is unusual, don't just say, "Okay, that's the father, those are the parents." Say something, report it. Nothing else. The child is safer that way.
Yeah. There's another question in the chat room also from Raub. I hope I pronounced that right. That's at least that's my best try. Does Monique know if the Pentagon has a child protection debt section
Department section. Mm-hmm. That they are investigating child trafficking.
Yes.
Well, Homeland Security does. They work on. I don't know about Pentagon, and why would they? I've never heard of the Pentagon being involved with child trafficking, but FBI is, and so is Homeland Security in a big way. Actually, cybercrime against children is one of the biggest aspects and department in Homeland Security. And I work with them as we speak on many of the child trafficking cases. And of course, FBI works on child kidnapping cases. very much involved with trafficking. In fact, those are those are the federal agencies that I work with often.
Here's a question for you. As a parent, you know your child is using the cell phone and just do all kinds of things online. Isn't there a way that you can tap into that cell phone to know exactly what they are doing and saying all the time?
Okay, first of all, you don't want to do that. But what you need to do is watch. First of all, if the child is very young, you got to have some kind of a limitation or protection on their computer system so they can't contact. Because what happens, there are groomers out there. The groomers that pretend to be younger than they are. Mm-hmm. And they will lure your child into believing that they are the same age. And it's not going to happen overnight, and it happens over maybe 6 months. By the time the child goes to meet that person is a broker. That broker who pretends to be a boyfriend. Sometimes the boyfriends are the brokers. And they're 25 or 35 or older. It's too late. So watch what your child does over the computer and put limitations on it. There are systems. I'm pretty sure your producer and other people know about this. There are ways to do this. As far as watching your child and their cell phones, well, you don't want to, you don't want to spy in that way with your child, but you could monitor them if you find some problems. I mean, if you don't see anything about your child that is doing anything, I don't think it's fair to just get into the business all the time. But if you find that they're doing drugs and you find that they are losing weight, or they are always on the computer, or they're running around with the wrong crowd, then you do. There are cameras you can put on their computer. You can, because by the way, if you own it, it's not illegal. It's illegal if you do it on somebody else's computer or somebody else's cell phone. But if you own it and you're paying for that system, then you have the right to do it. But please only do it if you really feel intuitively. Use your intuition. If something is wrong, probably is. Yeah.
And of course, you can also track them on the telephone through the GPS system.
Well, of course, the GPS system. But again, I don't think that we need to invade their privacy to a point that if there's no reason. Only if you find that there is reason for it. Because you know what? A lot of people ask me that, and a lot of I believe that teenagers and children also have rights. Children, certain age, you got to watch them up to like 14 years old. But when they become teenagers, they have certain rights as well, which is, their privacy. Except that you really need to know what they're doing by putting some limitations on the sites that they can access.
Yeah, and I also heard there was on TV a few years back, I heard somebody talk about these issues, and they said that once a child goes missing, time is very critical. The first 24 to 48 hours, that's when you can actually find them the easiest, because they may not have left the area yet or other reasons. If it's taken more than that, then it's harder. Could it be that maybe you could use hackers or something to tap into their phone, or because once you call the police, they don't do a thing for 24 hours.
Well, I don't wait. When a child goes missing, it's already too late. As far as I'm concerned. In fact, a child under 10 years old, forget it. It's very, very difficult to find a child under 10 or around that age. Younger children usually are taken by pedophiles, and they usually don't come back alive. If it's a teenager, they usually run away with their boyfriends. And the child that I was explaining to you, when a friend took her to, actually she was a Persian girl, 15 years old. She went to a party. she drank from an open punch, which you never do, and you should never accept a drink, open drink, somebody goes, hey, let me go get you a drink, and they bring you a bottle, and it's already open. You should not drink that.
Yeah.
You get your own drink, you open it, and you should not drink alcohol. Anyways,
Right.
when you're a teenager. But
Yeah.
anyways, so this girl drank from the punch. She passed out. They took her to the other room. They gang raped her, and then she got hooked on heroin. And she disappeared for months. I found her through her cell phones and through her boyfriend. The shame of this Persian girl was so much that the parents moved back to Iran because it's just,
Really?
Absolutely. So we did find her through the cell phone. But when they go missing, the cops wait 72 hours. Private investigators don't wait at all. We're on it.
Yeah.
We track them. We hire, you call them hackers. I call them forensic investigators, computer forensics. And we get on that computer, and in every which way, we'll find that child.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, not all children come back, by the way.
Yeah, that's the problem. I see that we got about 5 minutes left of the show here. Let us talk a little bit about what you put in your book for education for both for children and parents, and maybe also a little bit why. Okay.
So first of all, like I said, the book is a novel based on true stories and inspired by true stories. And these are about the children that went missing, and there's a lot more than just sex trafficking and why sex trafficking is happening. Where are these children? Where are they taken? Who's using them and abusing them, and how we can get them back? So right at the end, all the references and all the information, who to call, what is human trafficking, and what to do about it. Yeah. So the education is at the beginning and at the end, and in the middle, of course, it's all about the children that have gone missing. And somewhere in the middle, of course, Monique is talking about Shahrzad. Shahrzad is my character. And Shahrzad, international female private investigator that is running after Elizabeth, looking for Elizabeth to find her. And sometimes she's reminiscing about her past. So there's a little bit of how I became a private investigator and who was my family. And so education is all throughout this book. So it's a very interesting book, I would say.
Yeah, and then there is, it keeps you on the edge of the chair, as well as it has a lot of education in it, sounds like.
It has a lot of education in it, and it's a lot of dialogues, and it's very, very fast paced. So it's easy read. That's what I've been hearing.
Okay, where can they find the book?
It's on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, but Amazon has it right now. It's going to be on audiobook in just a few weeks, I'm hoping, and it's already on Kindle, and it's called Children of the Underworld.
Children of the Underworld. And the book just came out a few days ago, basically?
Basically, about 3 days ago. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Boy, we're fast on this. Yeah, that's good. Now, if you could talk to every parent in the world right now, and they would listen, what would you tell them?
Don't let your children out of the house. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm personally, I don't have children, but I fight for the cause of children since I was 24 years old. I became a licensed investigator shortly after that, working on sex trafficking, sex and abuse and child abuse of children. Let me tell you this. If I had a child, I would be right there with them. I would ask questions. I would know their friends. I would invite the friends. I would investigate, in fact. I think the parents should investigate or find out about the parents of the children that are hanging out with their children. It's very important because a lot of these brokers and traffickers are actually parents and aunts and uncles, because that child in the middle that we call them brokers have been a victim of sex trafficking or human trafficking already. Now there are brokers to bring other children in to the system. So parents, watch your children. Make sure that if they're very young, put some limitations on what they can access on internet. Find out about your children's friends. That's really important. And don't just think that they're 16 years old, they should have a boyfriend and go to some dances. No, chaperone them. My mom chaperoned me until I was at least 18. There's nothing wrong. I think you should. Watch for your children, who they hang out with. I don't think a 16, 17-year-old need to have a full-time boyfriend.
Yeah, that can go bad. But then again, that's good company too, if they are in good company.
Well, honestly, I think that in this country especially, I'm not from this country. I'm an American, but I'm a little more stricter about those things. I think parents should be more involved with the children's social life for a while until they understand what's going on.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we are now down to about
30 seconds. Okay, social media. Social media is one of the biggest things. It's the enemy of sex. I mean, it is your enemy of your children. Watch the social media. You can actually follow the Facebook and the Twitters and Instagrams. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us, Monique. And people, go to Amazon and look up her book. You are going to see something you like. Thank you.
This has been the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Your weekly guide to a deeper understanding of the all that we are.
Well, in a few years, it will be a matter of common sense for very many people that they're one with the universe. It'll be so simple.
Live Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. For more information on the show, hosts, or their guests, please visit universal-consciousness-show.com. That's universal-consciousness-show.com. Remember, there's a shift coming. A new earthly paradigm. A shift to universal consciousness.
Universal consciousness.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist.